Welcome to the SIRS training videos. My name is Lee. I'm with the SIRS support team, and today I'm going to take you through the term end update process for senior high schools. Documentation for this process is available on our website under Resources, Key Users, down to Marks, and over to the senior high area. And at the bottom of the list you will find the term end update minimum mark of 0 for May 2011. This process is done by a SIRS key user at the school, and that's how I'm logged into our training set. Today we're going to do a term end update for term 3, and this is a process that takes all the final marks for the students and sends them to history. So you want to do this process at the end of each term after you've ensured that the final marks are in and changes to final marks have been made. So under the marks area, go down to term end update. This screen allows you to select the term that you wish to do the term end update for. It's very important that when you do this process that you do the term end updates in order, so you ensure that term 1 is done before you do term 2. So at this time of year, term 1 and 2 have already been done, and we're going to do a term end update process for term 3. Once the term is selected, if the completed status is not showing as complete, use the drop-down arrow and choose it from the list. You'll notice once you've selected a term that there are two date fields on this form that will default in. The first date field will select the end of your term, and we want to leave that one alone. The second date field, however, needs to be changed to your school's in date. So use the calendar button beside the field and select the month of September. The year, change it to 2010 and September 2nd. This is the end date for most schools. If your school started on a different end date, then of course you will choose that date. This will ensure that any student that has been withdrawn and has completed classes showing in student enrollment will be picked up in the term end update process. Moving further down the screen, there are selections that you need to make under the information always send the following enrollment statuses to history. These will stay after you've made the initial selections, but if you do not have them shown now, please make the same selections as you see in the window. The statuses that need to be selected are withdrawal, complete, and incomplete. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see the grades that you wish to run this term end update against. At the high school level, you can choose your grade 10, 11, and 12s all at once, or you can do each grade individually. Sometimes it's easier to look at the report by selecting a very specific grade. So in this case, I'm going to choose the grade 10s. At the bottom of this screen, there are 4 statements, and you want to ensure that each one of these has a check mark beside it, and that the minimum mark to include in history is 0. After these selections are made, click on the CTS Courses tab up at the top, and the selections that you want to make here are you want to have reassign completion statuses and reassign funding flags. Also check off the CTS marks between 25 and 49. Beside the completion status for these fields, if it does not show incomplete, please use the drop-down arrow and select incomplete from the list. Beside the funding flag, you can click into the area, use the table button, and select yes meets requirement. These are for courses that have marks between 25 and 49, and yes, we do want to request funding for these classes. For CTS marks between 1 and 24, the completion status is also incomplete, so ensure that you choose it from the table. However, in this case, then we have to choose no from the table, that these classes do not meet the requirements for funding. So select no. Moving down, you'll have a selection here that you may have CTS mark is equal to 0. This needs to be selected, and the completion status on this screen needs to be withdrawn. Once you've made all the proper selections, it's always a good idea to go back to your Report Options tab and just to ensure that your dates are correct, your statuses are correct, and then you can use the Preview button. For this purpose, I'm just going to bring up an example of these are some of the messages that you may receive when you're previewing your term end update process. Things to check for or to look for ones that say no mark. And in this example here, there's a no mark against a Math 10 course. So it may mean that the teacher has forgotten to enter the final mark for this student, and you need to ensure that there is a final mark, as courses cannot go to history complete with no final mark. Another message that may show up is the course exists, or a course exists with previous credits. This indicates that the student has already received credit for this course in either the current year or a previous year, and so will not be able to send this course to history again. There's a low mark indication for those students that have failed a course, and you may see low mark, incomplete, yes, meets requirement. These are for CTS courses where they have failed the course but we are requesting funding, or a low mark, incomplete, and no, does not meet the requirements for funding, and for marks between 0 and 24. Also make sure that for the courses that do have a passing mark, that the proper credit has been assigned to the course. So in Social Studies 10, you'll see here that it's a 5-credit course and it's received its 5 credits. So for this particular student, when you look at the new credits, it's telling you that only 5 credits are going to go to student history for this particular student on this term end update. And you can preview those and make sure that they're correct. Once you've completed the preview and you've selected your students and made all the corrections, you'll want to continue doing this process and previewing and previewing and previewing until you have no error messages left on your report. Once there are no error messages and you're ready to actually do your term end update, you'll want to ensure that you don't have any other SIRS processes running. Make sure your screens are set up exactly the way they were in your preview. It's always a good idea to review them, and your CTS tab as well, and then you can hit the update. And once you've hit the update here, this will actually ask you, are you sure that you really are ready to do a term end update and send these marks to history? So at this time, if you've done all your checking and you're sure, click the OK button, and the process will run, and it will tell you that the process is complete, and the student's marks will now be up in history. And after you've done a term end update, then you should go to student history to ensure that the process was complete. So if you go under student and down to student history, any courses that were sent up this year will show in student history. Another way that you can check to see whether the term end update was successful was to go to Schedule, Class Setup and Schedule, and choose one of the classes that you did the term end update for, and look at the Enrollment tab, and you should have no enrollment. If you require further assistance with this process or any other SIRS process, please email SIRS support or call us at 403-817-7557. Thank you.